What is up, dude bros and dudettes and all the non-binaries and androgynous shit in the fucking middle? How y'all doing? I apologize right now if it sounds like I'm literally in an echo chamber. There's nothing I could do, so we're going to do our best with what we got. Okay, I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of this arrangement. Now, there has been enough time for people to finally be spoon-fed and digest the news of the whole new alliance going out in Ottawa. So if you guys don't know, Jerk Meat, the leader of the other extreme communist side of the Canadian parties, has pretty much torn apart the supply and confidence agreement with Cuban Fabio. And now it is, for the next line, for the next kin in this lineup, is now the Bloc-Québécois. A few months ago, I ended up talking about this, that if ever a shit like this did happen, it would be pretty obvious that would be a thing. It was on my bingo card, so now I am very excited to see how this timeline is going to evolve, what it's going to look like. And I have seen a lot of mixed reaction with this whole thing from boots on the ground, not necessarily that I know personally, people I know personally, more of the reactions online, just seeing also our lovely language Nazi, the French only commander-in-chief, Lego, and his comrades, and how everybody is probably going to go against this alliance. And to me, as somebody who has been ranting about this shit for over a decade, who is a private citizen, who's a libertarian, who has more things in common, or at least values shit of the United States more than the bullshittery we have up here, cannot wait to see this shenanigan go down. Like, in my head, this is like peak chaos in a odd way, or in a very redundant way of saying, because I've been looking forward to this shit for a long time. And I just want to talk about it because I have a few thoughts on how I think this whole bullshit is going to manifest. So, other than stating the obvious, I wanted to just point out and say that I think, and I've said this a bazillion times, this is going to probably sour the relation or lack of unity going on between the East versus the West. And it's just going to probably get a little bit more worse, I think. And really starting to harden the separatists on both sides. Because it was kind of obvious to me when the lefties are not going to always agree with one another. Everyone's going to be eating each other alive. Well, that was bound to happen, at the very least, with this whole bullshit of the language Nazis. At a certain point, it is going to fucking happen. We don't know how much implosion is going on with the federal liberals. I doubt it. At this point, it's safe to say that they're more commies. But by the way, we do actually have a Communist Party of Canada, and they seem to be well organized, despite the fact that their platform and their website is like based off of a 1990s interface, or 2000s, early 2000s interface. I mean, fine, what the fuck ever, you know, they try, that to me is pretty hilarious. But it's safe to say that there's like a Communist Party 2.0, the liberals, and to me, anything that's been going on in the name of liberalism, to me, is not liberal. This is like the extreme side of leftism, and that's not what we want, because the Overton window has shifted quite a bit. And that was bound to happen with the language Nazis, as if we haven't seen that bullshit here in Quebec. And it was pretty obvious, but not my point of contention, but I thought what has been very interesting in the last several years, where Blanchette has been getting the big cheese, the head honcho of the Bloc Québécois. Like, they're cock blockers, Bloc Québécois, you know, there's that innuendo there, so they're cock blockers. Always leaving it up to Quebec to be the cock blockers, even though they demand more money. They're kind of like the, Alberta's like that whole Captain Save-A-Ho thing, and yet, where's my money gone? Yeah, there's that pipeline too that we're gonna have to experience, and as if we haven't already. For the last 4 fucking years, Blanchette has been doing a lot of talking, a lot of yappity yaps, a lot of just verbiage, jargon coming out of his mouth. The usual thing that politicians do. They like to talk the talk, they don't like to put their money where their fucking mouth is. So it's your typical politician whenever shit like that tends to happen. And I thought what was really hilarious during the pandemic, there are 2 things that, for me in my mind, is kind of hilarious. Number one, that clip that I have referenced so many times at the beginning of the pandemic, where Cuban Fabio is just making a show of the whole thing, but even Blanchette had pointed out, and I'm going to quote him saying, "Well, I know that Canada was a monarchy. I didn't know it had its own natural king, who likes to make a show of it." And then after that, blah, 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 I don't remember the rest of it. Which I think is kind of ironic that he is now kind of holding up the very thing that he does not like. But there's a caveat to this whole thing. And during the last 4 years, I find what's very interesting is you would think after a few years, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a fucking day. It takes time. But you would think after 4 years, there wouldn't just be a bunch of yappity yaps and just do nothing. There would have been some ounce of success to get Quebec interests in Ottawa. Well, how much more interest do you guys fucking need? How many out of the Supreme Court, how many judges from Quebec are there? There's like 9, and there's, 3? There's like 3 from Quebec and 1 representing all the other provinces. Like, I don't remember what the structure is, but there's more bias from Quebec than the rest of Canada. So how much more interest do you need when you have Lego kind of being the media darling in that case, or at least being the face of it to a point? Blanchette is not much fucking needed. For me, he's just useless. He has done nothing. Like, what has he done to accomplish the goals? And I've seen some language Nazis say this online. They think that this whole thing with an alliance with the trio commies is like a betrayal. It's like a finger of honor to Quebec. And I'm saying to myself, but wait a fucking minute. Hold on, though. We have to... I don't know if this is a covert strategy of we're frenemies now. Thy enemy is my friend type of thing. Or we're frenemies right now and, everything is all great behind closed doors, which, by the way, have we all not fucking realized that we're not part of the clique, okay? Not sure if this guy is like a Laurentianite, like one of the big cheese of the big, very self-important weirdos and rich bitches out here in Quebec. Gee, funny, I wonder how they're getting rich and what are they getting rich off of while they're still lying that the British culture is in threat by the Anglophones. Okay. Yeah, so there is that awkward thing. But people were saying in the comment section that, well, he just wants to do this for his pension. Dude, bro, I think has his pension already. I think he already has his fucking pension. So at that point, like, what more does he need? What's he gonna do? Like, what's bound to happen? And even if he doesn't have his pension now, do you guys honestly think that he has your interest? See, this is the thing that I'm McLovin. I'm surrounded by political enemies on all fucking sides here because I don't get along well with a lot of Anglophones. I do not. And I'm not going to get along well with language Nazis, although I do believe that the one thing that we have in common is that I think the monarchy should be abolished. That doesn't mean that you guys should be establishing your own. I thought you guys didn't like a monarchy. I thought you didn't like that. But as long as it's French, that's all that matters. Vive le Québec libre! But you guys don't know what freedom is. You don't know what liberty is. Do you know what that is? If liberty in your mind means that you have a centralized figure that is dictating how things should fucking be, that's not liberty. You guys don't know what that is. You guys are sheeple. You're just as guilty as the Anglophones that believe that some loser out in Ottawa is going to make things better if you run for the Quebec Liberals over here because our voices are not being heard. Really, it's only now that these two sides are finally realizing that the Anglophone community has been taken advantage of for decades on end and they have no other choices. We've been fucking telling you that, okay? Just fucking saying. And also, this guy over here is making an alliance. I'm not quite sure if he has his pension. What more is he gonna do? He's probably just gonna be yapping, and that's all it is, and just being in the shadow of Lego. That's who it is, and the whole pipeline and the whole infighting, I'm hoping, is going to be fucking entertaining. This is getting entertaining, folks, for Canadian standards when it comes to politics, all right? Americans, take note, because this is gonna be fun, all right? At least for me, anyways. And so, if that's not the case, if he has to get his pension, did you guys think that he has your interest to heart? And here's the other thing that I think is very interesting. Nobody's calling out this guy. No one is saying that, don't you think it's a little bit odd that a guy like this who props up Quebec so much would go all the way down to Chicago to the DNC? That means he supports Kamala Harris. That bitch is a fucking commie. Do you guys not fucking realize that? The optics of that don't look good. I thought that was like an AI-generated image, but it's not. He actually went down there, which means for me, I'm like, isn't that interesting? You see, at this point, this whole fucking thing with the language Nazis, you guys don't realize that even if you had a Quebexit, you don't think that the globalists are not going to commit the same treatment as they did in with the UK over here? Why is that hard to fucking believe? Why is that hard to believe? It just astounds me that there's no nuance in this conversation. There really isn't at times. And I'm just like, you people are not that much different than any other group that endows itself like with a celebrity worship. Like, you guys are not any fucking better. And may I just point something out? If you guys really want to do the whole we want to be independent thing, there's only two ways into this. You could still be like Lego, where we have a strong Quebec within Canada, but then you're not a true separatist. But if you want to go the other route, then you guys have to start embarking on a Viva la Revolution FLQ 2.0. Because you know what that means, right? That means that you're going to have to take somebody who is radical enough, goes down to Ottawa, destroys one of Cuban Fabio's little minions, and bring forth the War Measures Act 2.0. Because that motherfucker did it on protesters. He did it on the truckers. For what? We just want to sit and talk to you, bro. We don't like this thing where you're forcing people to get this. But nobody was doing anything about that during the curfews. Where was that? Brave souls of yours out there in Quebec City. Nowhere, because you guys are just as lame and guilty and just demure. Quebec's going through a demure stage right now, or it's demure era. Just like the rest of Canada. So you guys tell me at this fucking point, what's really the difference between Quebec and Canada? Really, what's the difference? Oh, we just speak French. At the end of the night, who gives a fuck? If you guys want to do the whole Viva la Revolution thing, it's like history repeats itself, and you're giving Cuban Fabio more of a reason to be a fucking tyrant, but I thought we didn't have communists here in Quebec. Well, you thought wrong. Just like we didn't think we had idiots on either political aisle, we do. So I cannot wait for this freaking bullshit to fucking go nuts. I'm hoping if it's as crazy as I think it is, let it happen, man. Let it happen. But I'm not quite sure. This is my initial thoughts on this whole arrangement. Peace the fuck out, folks.